Antarctica is the last uninhabited continent. Harsh, forbidding, and hostile, its brutal environment has long repelled permanent human settlement. Only scientists and explorers live here now, and only temporarily. But what if someone came here long before modern nations staked scientific claims? What if someone reached this frozen continent before it was even officially discovered? In a discovery that puzzled the scientific community and remains unresolved to this day, human remains were found on the icy shores of Antarctica. They weren't recent, nor were they the remnants of a modern researcher. They dated to a time before Antarctica was even officially seen by human eyes. This is the baffling story of the oldest human remains ever found in Antarctica, and the mystery that still surrounds them. For millions of years, Antarctica has been isolated by fierce winds and the mighty Antarctic circumpolar current. During the age of the dinosaurs, it was lush and green, teeming with ferns, freshwater rivers, and primitive forests. Fossils show that animals like early amphibians and even relatives of modern marsupials once roamed its valleys. But by the time humans had begun populating the world, Antarctica had transformed into the icy world we know today, an inhospitable desert of snow, ice, and rock. With average interior temperatures plunging to minus 60 degrees Celsius or minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit and no native human population, it stood as the last great untouched frontier. For centuries, mariners told stories of a massive southern continent, Terra Australis Incognita, believed to balance the lands of the northern hemisphere. But it wasn't until 1820 that humanity finally caught a confirmed glimpse of Antarctica's jagged, frozen shores. Yet, some believe there may have been earlier encounters. In Maori oral tradition, the Polynesian navigator Hui Te Rangiora embarked on a voyage deep into the southern seas around the 7th century AD. His journey is said to have taken him into a realm of thick fog, dark skies, and a place not touched by the sun, descriptions that eerily match the Antarctic Ocean. He spoke of rocks growing out of the sea and white cliffs, which some interpret as icebergs or ice shelves. Modern scholars debate this claim. Could ancient Polynesians have reached the edge of the Antarctic Circle? Their navigational skills were among the best in the ancient world, guiding outrigger canoes thousands of kilometers across open ocean. Still, without physical evidence, Hui Te Rangiora's voyage remains legend. Then came 1820. Russian explorer Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen, aboard the Vostok, recorded seeing an ice shore of extreme height, the first confirmed sighting of Antarctica. Soon after, American and British expeditions followed, ushering in the age of exploration in the continent, which is what makes a discovery in the 1980s all the more shocking. On January 7th, 1985, while surveying a remote stretch of shoreline known as Yamana Beach near Cape Shirreff on the Antarctic Peninsula's Livingston Island, Chilean scientist Daniel Torres Navarro was collecting marine refuse when something astonishing emerged from the rocky sand. At precisely 1635, he uncovered the parieto-occipital portion of a human skull, the rear and top part of the cranium, peeking through the surface, green from microalgae but otherwise well preserved. Over time, more fragments were retrieved. Maxillae with intact teeth, though the central incisors and mandible were missing. This wasn't debris from a recent expedition. This was historical human remains, resting in a place where no permanent human settlement had ever existed. Even more bewildering, the remains were dated to between 1819 and 1825, years before Antarctica's official discovery and exploration. Initial examination determined the skull belonged to a young woman. Her teeth, bone structure, and cranial features suggested she was likely of South American origin, probably from Chile. Torres referred to her as mestizo in his later analysis, a term indicating a mixed-race individual, perhaps descended from both indigenous and European ancestry. Despite the importance of this find, no detailed forensic photographs or public records of the skull or femur have ever been widely released. Only one archival photo of the restored cranium was published in a 1999 journal article. But even that image remains mostly unknown to the general public. The absence of visuals is not due to oversight. It's the result of strict environmental and ethical controls. Yamana Beach, the site of the discovery, is located within Antarctic Specially Protected Area number 149. This designation was created under the Antarctic Treaty System to safeguard regions of ecological, scientific, or cultural significance. As such, access is strictly regulated, and documentation of human remains, including photography, is heavily restricted to preserve the dignity of any human remains and the scientific integrity of the site. Years later, on January 14, 1993, Torres revisited Yamana Beach. While observing fur seals, Torres walked near the original discovery site and, astonishingly, found another large human bone just a few paces away. It was another femur, measuring 221 millimeters in length with a mid-diameter of 80 millimeters, closely matching the first. This suggested that multiple bones from the same individual had been scattered across the beach and slowly emerged over time due to erosion and wind. In 1987, another investigation was launched by the University of Chile. They excavated a 3 by 3 meter trench down to a depth of 80 centimeters in the area where the cranium had been discovered. All soil was carefully sifted, but no new remains were recovered. While the hope was to locate further evidence, the Antarctic environment had likely scattered or buried any remaining bones far beyond reach. The restored mestizo female skull is currently preserved today in the scientific department of the Instituto Antartico Chileno. In the years following its discovery, researchers expressed the intention to use DNA analysis to determine whether the femurs recovered in 1988 and 1993 were part of the same skeleton as the original cranium. This would help clarify whether all the dispersed remains belong to a single individual. However, despite this goal, no definitive publication or result has yet confirmed that such genetic analysis was successfully completed. While ancient DNA technology has advanced tremendously since the 1990s, particularly in cold environments where biomolecules can be better preserved, Antarctica presents a paradox. Though frigid temperatures can aid preservation, the bones had also likely been exposed to the harsh conditions of marine submersion and coastal erosion. Saltwater immersion, in particular, is known to significantly degrade DNA, making recovery of viable genetic material extremely difficult. To this day, no DNA-based identification of the woman's ancestry or confirmation of a skeletal match between the skull and femurs has been released. The intention was there. The science now exists, but whether the damage was too extensive or for any other reason, the project was simply never completed. Despite all these years of investigation, no ship's log, personal items, artifacts, or historical records were ever found to indicate who she was or why she came. Scientists have hypothesized several possibilities. One theory by Daniel Torres Navarro suggests the woman may have been part of a 19th century sealing expedition, either as a worker, stowaway, or possibly an indigenous Yagan or Mapuche individual accompanying South American or European sealers. Fueled by European demand for seal, fur, and oil, crews ventured into increasingly remote waters. She might have fallen ill or been abandoned, a practice not unheard of in such harsh ventures. Another possibility is that she died aboard a ship and was buried at sea, as was common at the time. Her body could have drifted to shore via ocean currents and storms, eventually landing on Yamana Beach, where scavenging seabirds may have scattered and damaged the remains. This discovery challenges what we thought we knew about Antarctica's human history. Could there be other undocumented voyages to the continent before the 19th century? Were sealers and explorers venturing into Antarctic waters earlier than records suggest? Could indigenous South American groups have reached Antarctica in small, unrecorded expeditions, perhaps driven by seasonal hunting or even exile? And most hauntingly, who was this woman? What was her name, her story, her fate? Her story remains a riddle. With Antarctica's ice now melting, new archaeological finds may emerge from the melting permafrost. Who knows what more secrets lie buried beneath the ice? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into one of Earth's coldest mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment below with your theory about who the Antarctic woman might have been. Until next time, stay curious.